evening, campers. It's been a while. Yes, I've been busy. Be that with work, working with kids. Yes, I am a part-time goat taxidermist. Nevertheless, I have not been reading much. And I thought, when desperate for content, let's make a book tag. You know, remember the days when tags were a thing? I think they're still a thing. Who knows? I'll be honest, book tags aren't usually my thing, but needs must. There's been a lot of conversation offline with people about, like, why aren't you making content? What are you currently reading? And both of my answers have been, no, I've not been really making content. I have a metric and possibly imperial butt ton to get through. And I've not really been reading. And I know people will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's not reading. I know people will be like, I'm in a one-day reading slump and I don't know what to do. Like, legitimately, like, most people just get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. It's a real natural process. Happens to be every single year. I normally take like 3 months off reading. Content creation, it's all smoke and mirrors. I normally do this. I normally take like swathes of time off reading, but I'm really good at filming videos like back to back and then slowly editing them and spooling them out on a fairly regular basis. So you, dear viewer, don't have a clue that I've just like crashed out on a sofa doing nothing. But for the meme, we're going to do a book tag. As usual, questions will be down below. I'm going to just make them up as we go along, and I'll tag a few people, and maybe they'll do it, and maybe they won't, because no one's going to care either way. No, we gotta think of questions. Okay, I suppose the first one would be, do you feel obliged to read? I'm throwing this out to people who make videos because they're normally the people who answer these sorts of things. I know there's a subsection of people be like, well, I can't answer these in the comment. I don't know who you are. Do you feel obliged to read? That sounds like a very weird question. Most people, I imagine, are going to say no. But I promise you, through conversations with many people online, they do feel obliged to read. And they feel obliged to read certain books. And indeed, I would argue that I too have felt obliged to read certain books, of which I have buckled to, predominantly that from the Booker Prize. One, because I did like the Booker Prize long lists, but there's a difference between reading for pleasure and then making like videos on it. When you make a video on something, the whole game changes. I'm fully aware, and you're fully aware, that there is that one person who can read 14 versions of War and Peace in a single day like it was absolutely nothing. Probably because they're unemployed. I've said it, okay? There's no way you can read this much without a real job. I'm really sorry about that. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You clearly are unemployed. And that is what I hope finally gets me onto Jess Owen's channel, okay? I've been controversial from the beginning. Like, how do I get onto actual book drama? How do I do it? What more can I do? How do I actually get onto drama channels rather than this person updated their Goodreads 4 pages further than they actually were? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Like, do you feel obliged to read? I know a lot of people, I know a lot of people will be like, numbers aren't everything. They kind of are. People generally will not make a YouTube channel, have very little views, have very little engagement, and continue that for a prolonged period of time. If you want proof, look at the BookTube newbie tag, okay? High engagement, and it falls off, and people just stop. People generally like views, and they like engagement. Therefore, you are going to read certain books. If everyone is talking about a certain book in a certain genre and you feel that you're part of that like spectrum of creators within that genre, you're most likely going to read it, especially if it's popular but you have no desire to read it. Which I suppose leads me into the second question, which is, do you feel pigeonholed by your content? I feel this a lot. I don't know how many times people ask me to read certain things, certain trilogies, or ask me why I haven't like finished something, or why aren't I continuing. I guarantee on this video someone will be like, but why aren't you going back to this? Why aren't you doing this? We signed up for this. I don't know how to explain to people I can't do everything. I can't do everything. While I'm not bothered with some videos not doing as well as others, I am also not in the business of chasing the numbers. I don't care how big a video gets. It kind of, as soon as you hit like 1,000 views, the rest of it becomes fairly intangible. For me, it feels fairly intangible. I could chase views, I could chase numbers all day. And I promise you, my videos would change drastically. They would change really drastically if that's what I wanted to do. In fact, if that's what I wanted to do, I would start a whole new channel and it would be a whole different ball game. I wouldn't be talking about things I've read. If I wanted to make money, I promise you, it wouldn't be a book channel. I promise you that, okay? And while I do feel pigeonholed at certain times, and it is quite frustrating to be told over and over again, why aren't you doing X, Y, Z? I find it even more so frustrating when I go onto other people's channels and in the comments, they're talking about like, why aren't you doing X, Y, Z? I'm like, mate, it's been like 2 months. It's been a year. Get over it. It clearly isn't happening. And I suppose this brings me on to the third question, kind of similar to the first, some would argue, which is, are you reading because you love it, or because the algorithm's forcing you to do something? I know people talk like, oh, I can't believe, I never understand the algorithm. I promise you, like, Croatian literature is not being pushed, okay? You know what's being pushed. It's romantasy, fantasy, sci-fi, a lot of mainstream literary fiction tends to do very well. And indeed, this happens with hauls. People buy books so they can talk about them, or they get sent arcs. Are they really that invested in all of these? They're not. I'll tell you now, they're not. I get messaged all the time, and I tell people, no thanks, not bothered. I've sent books back to publishers, like, please stop sending me things. I'm not interested in talking about it because I'm just like not interested. I'm just not interested in it. Look at the Sally Rooney like hype over Beautiful World, Where Are You, and Intermezzo. People just wanted the book. They didn't really want to read it. They just wanted the book to say that they had the book. We've been through this multiple times. Again, we don't particularly care on this channel. It's all for show. It's all the kind of like, look what I have access to that you don't. I've really been enjoying pecans recently. Yes, I'm British, so I should say pecan, but again, I riled someone up, and therefore it's funny. I've run out of steam of not been making videos for so long, I don't even know how to end this. But what's like the worst part of content creation when it comes to books? I'll tell you now where I hate. When people are like, you didn't like a book, therefore you are stupid. You will get the snarkiest comment back. If anyone puts anything like that, you get the snarkiest comment back. And I don't hold back. Try me. there are enough people who, once they get a comment back from me, end up deleting it. And I know, because I see it happen live, and it's great. That's the beautiful wonder of YouTube Studio. You can just find out that the person's just deleted their comment. That's the one thing I really hate. I really hate that. I hate people demanding stuff of me. As soon as you demand me to do something, I promise you it doesn't gonna happen. Robert, you demanded me to do something. Oh, my baby. How we doing, darling? You okay? Ring your mum. You never ring your mum. Okay. Bye. Someone do this tag. I'll tag some people. Oh, Twig. Twig, what do you want to say? Oh, that you've tagged some people down below and don't feel obliged to do it? Okay, then. Bye-bye. Should we do walkies? Should we do walkies? Let's go for walkies.